In the early 1990s, a quiet academic paper planted the seed for one of the most influential ideas about success in modern culture, that mastery is not born but built. The idea would later be distilled into a single, seductive number: 10,000 hours. Practice for that long, we were told, and greatness would follow. But where did this idea come from, and how solid is the ground it stands on? In 1993, two psychologists, one Swedish, one American, published a paper titled "The Role of Deliberate Practice in the Acquisition of Expert Performance." It would become one of the most cited studied in psychology. Its core claims was radical for its time. What separates experts from average performer is not innate talent, but the amount of deliberate practice they accumulate over years. The author argues that many traits we casually labeled as natural abilities are, in fact, the visible result of long term focused effort, often stretching across a decade or more. Experience alone, they insisted, is not enough. Improvement requires intentional struggles, constant feedback, and a relentless effort to correct one's weaknesses. In other words, mastery does not arrive automatically with time, it must be earned. To test this idea, the researcher turned to an elite setting, the Music Academy of West Berlin. They studied three groups of violinists: the best, the good, and the least accomplished, and asked a deceptively simple question: how much had they practiced? Not just recently, but every week since they first touched a violin. The results were striking. By the age of 20, the top performer had accumulated roughly 10,000 hours of practice. Good violinists averaged 8,000 hours. The least skilled hovered around 4,000 hours. But more importantly than raw numbers was how those hours were spent. The best musicians didn't merely play more, they practiced differently. Their time was structured, effortful, and aimed at specific improvement. They also shared remarkably similar paths, starting young, choosing expert teachers, entering music academy early, practicing alone by age 8, and performing publicly while still children. Excellent, it seems, follow a pattern. The idea might have remained confined to academic journals if not for the writer Malcolm Gladwell. In his 2008 book Outlier, Gladwell transformed this research into a cultural mantra. He argues that talent was largely irrelevant once a certain threshold of ability was met. There are no natural, he wrote. No prodigy who coasted to the top with minimal effort, and no grinds either. People who works endlessly but simply lack what it took. The difference, Gladwell claimed, was brutally simple. The best worked much, much harder than everyone else. The 10,000 hour rule was born not as a strict law but as a powerful metaphor of effort, patience, and time. Yet the story doesn't end there. While the original study demonstrated a strong correlation between practice and expertise, it did not prove that practice alone was the cause of mastery. And in 2014, that distinction came under scrutiny. Psychologist Brooke McNamara and her colleague reanalyzed decades of research across music, sports, and education. Their conclusion was sobering. On average, practice accounts for only about 12% of the difference in performance. That left a vast portion unexplained, suggesting that factors like genetic, motivation, opportunities, teaching qualities, and even luck might also play crucial roles. The comforting promise that anyone can become anything began to look incomplete. Erickson, one of the original authors, pushed back. He argues that the reanalysis missed the point entirely. By counting all practice hours equally, it failed to distinguish between repetition and deliberate practice. The very concept his research was built on, time spent going through the motion, he insists, is not the same as time spent actively improving, and when deliberate practice was properly measured, it remained the strongest predictor of expertise across domain. The debate continues, but both sides agrees on one thing. Experience alone is not enough. The 10,000 hour rule was never a guarantee. It was a lens, a way of shifting the conversation away from mystical talents and towards sustained effort. It reminds us that mastery is rarely accidental. It is shaped by structure, discipline, and years of uncomfortable growth. It also warns us not to reduce human potential to a single number, because greatness is not forged by time alone, but by how that time is used and by everything else that surrounds it.